Okay, well, that's official. All right, well, welcome to the class. There are a couple things I wanted to say. I want to start the class a little bit with, like, what does it mean to go to a social event? A lot of times when we're learning a minuet or learning a saraband, we forget about the context. And in this case, we're preparing for a ball, so it's a very, very specific context. And I thought that what I would start with, you sort of wonder, like, well, what did Washington read? Or, what was his background? And I would like to remember that he was a good friend of General Lafayette, the Marquis de Lafayette. So some of his readings or some of his conversations might have been philosophical. So taking that as an idea, I wanted to go with Descartes. René Descartes, of course, is from the end of the 17th century, but very much influenced thought, and probably which eventually gave birth to the Enlightenment. His list of the passions is interesting, and I wanted to start with that because when you go into a ballroom and you meet someone for the first time or you see where you are, there's a sense of wonder. And wonder is the first passion that Descartes talks about. He says, when our first encounter with some object surprises us and we find it novel, it's very different from what we formerly knew or from what we supposed it should be. This brings it about that we wonder and are astonished at it. So it's that sense of wonder that opens up the face, that is very inviting as you're meeting people, and it's just an openness that you come into with the ball. All this can happen before we know whether the object is beneficial to us. So I regard wonder as the first of all the passions. It has no opposite, because if the object before us has nothing surprising about it, it doesn't stir us in any way, and we consider it without passion. So to him, there's either a sense of wonder or not. But I think that when we go into the ball, we might consider that we put ourselves in a state of wonder, openness, and seeing what we'll find. The next passion he talks about is esteem with generosity or pride, and the opposite of that is contempt with humility or abjectness. He says that wonder is joined to either esteem or contempt, depending on whether we wonder at how, metaphorically speaking, the object is in relationship to ourselves. And when he says object, if you could just substitute person. So we can esteem ourselves, giving rise to the passion of magnanimity or pride and the corresponding behavior, or condemn ourselves, giving rise to the passion of humility and the corresponding behavior. So he's saying that you come in with a sense of wonder, but then as you see someone or you're engaging in the space, there's a sense of pride perhaps that you feel, or maybe a sense of humility, maybe a little bit of being overwhelmed with where you are. And I think if you think of these things before you arrive at the ball, you're thinking about the passions that you might have, the reactions that you might have, so you kind of prepare yourself for a sort of socialization. He goes on to other passions like veneration, love, and hatred, but I think really the first two are the ones that probably are more appropriate for us to think about in preparing ourselves for that sort of social exchange that we have. And you have to understand that, especially during the wars, any war really, music happens, there are balls. And one of the things that happen at the balls are there's a lot of conversation. And so the conversation can get political, it can get philosophical, but it's a time for people to have spontaneous exchanges. Of course, back then they didn't have the technology that we have today. So, and if you wanted to meet different people, if you wanted to have a cultural experience that was different from your own, you would definitely want to go to a ball in a major city, just to have the opportunity to talk to Lafayette, talk to Washington, Benjamin Franklin, or at least the people who were mixing with them who might be at the ball. And it's a time for women. I mean, there's a whole question about women's place in society at that time. But, witty conversation was always appreciated, and if it stepped on politics or stepped on philosophy or religion, it was still socially acceptable, especially in the United States, before the United States became the United States, but especially in quote, the New World, to have this idea of conversation that could be in the political vein. So when you go to the ball, sometimes it's fun to take on a character, ask someone how the revolution is going. You might just, kind of role play a little bit. You might go up to someone and you say, have you seen Washington's spy yet? Did he come back with the news? And I think maybe I'll talk about that a little bit at the beginning of the ball, so it just gives way for playfulness in terms of, just inventing. Because, again, when you're in this kind of social situation, and certainly in America, when people didn't quite know what your pedigree was, didn't know who you were, where you came from, you could actually have fun pretending to be in a different place in society, at least for one night. Okay, so the idea of, socialization, what you bring to the ball, you might ask yourself, you might set some challenges. Do you want to meet new people? Do you want to have an experience you haven't had before? Is there someone on the ballroom floor you've never met that you would like to stand next to them and do the Allemande with? Try and get out of what would be normal for you, and take advantage of that sense of wonder that Descartes talks about. All right. Yes, I did write a little bit of notes. I don't want to be talking too much, but I just want to give a little bit of an introduction so we have a thought process going on, which I value. All right, I'm just looking to see if anybody else is late, but I think we're good. Right. Okay. Page 4, it says. Here we go. So, I have been looking at the dancing masters that were around during the time of Washington. Of course, Taubert is one of them, and from Germany. And he says, the true art of dancing is derived from real and natural elements. Human ineptitude in the fallen state of nature, meaning the fall from paradise, is rectified through the rational rules of philosophy and mathematics to such a form and discipline that man gains not only the strength and physical skill in all his visible actions to perform serious as well as comic scenes in the theater before numerous, lofty, and also certainly not irrational persons in a truly natural manner, but he also gains the air through which he sharply etches the inner movement of the soul. So one of the things they talk about in dance manuals and also in advertisements is ethics. And we don't really advertise ballet classes with the term ethics these days. So my question was, why are they talking about ethics? And part of it, what Taubert says, is to rectify the fall from paradise. So in other words, you need to get closer to the divine or closer to God in your earthly existence. So for him, dancing was a way of doing that. For George Washington, the ethics probably is a little bit more, I think it still takes on a divine sense, but I also think that he's talking about how you treat someone, how you dance with someone shows how you might treat someone in a personal relationship or a business relationship. So that's pretty easy. If you're addressing someone like straight on, your partner, and it's a little bit more confrontational when you're just shoulder to shoulders like that. If you give one shoulder or the other, it's not confrontational, but it's showing an idea of giving way. And also just that idea practically in giving way in a dance is you sort of step to the side to give way to your partner. So that idea of giving way means that you have a larger sense of the community, not just your own space. The other thing is just the placement of the head. The placement of the head is too direct. Again, it's a little more a sense of martial use of the body. But if you have it to one side or the other, it gives a sense of intelligence and also maybe a sense of listening or maybe a sense of seeing. So it brings in the other senses when you're using the head and you're thinking about your shouldering. And then when we get to offering the hands, of course, that will also be a part of the teaching, just the ceremony of offering the hands. And the idea of giving hands, and for the men, taking your hat, putting your hat on, and bowing, those three things are really used in everyday conversation. You bow to your teacher in the morning. You bow to your parents in the morning. When you step through the door, you bow to the host. So bows were used all the time in greetings. It was considered to be impolite to not bow. And the idea of the bow, Taubert writes about this and some other dancing masters, is that there's a divine sense in every being, and that when you bow to that being, you're acknowledging that divinity within both of you. So it's not a matter of the wolves are coming and I've got to bow my head down, otherwise they're going to attack me. It's not that animal kind of bow, but it's the bow of recognizing that you both have a divine spirit inside, and also that you're in the same society, maybe under the same rules. All right. Yes, and then of course the idea of measuring the space between people, your partner and other people. When you have a good sense of that, it would show that you are a good citizen, because the reflection of how you use your body in space and with other people, they thought reflected how your mind worked and just how deep your sensibility was as an individual within the community. Okay, let me just see if I think probably the next few things are probably better taught standing up, so maybe I'll go into that. All right. Why not? All right, I'm just going to change my screen a little bit. Put this over here. Yeah, we'll do that. Maybe that'll work. Okay, I've spotlighted myself. Right.
So, Catherine, can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
You do have you are sharing this big white screen that says Virginia Minuet.
Oh my God! Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Well, thank you, Jen, for letting me know. Okay, let me do stop share because I don't want to share the screen. I want to share the music. And I've only done this 5,000 times, so what is different this time? Okay, so I'm going to go to share. I am so sorry about the white screen. That was very undramatic. Okay, now normally it says it has a different share thing. I'm looking for advanced, and I will go ahead and go computer audio. Jen, I'm so sorry. I wish I knew that before, but here we go. How's that? Jen just looked like okay. Now, all right. Let's try and see if anybody can hear. Was that okay?
Great.
All right. And for some reason, in my wonderful Zoom world, which is now updated since I gave a Zoom class, I can't see anybody. So I'll try pressing this and see if that works. All right, maybe try this. All right, and then I just have to try one more thing.
I can't hear anymore. There's no sound. I can't.
How's that? Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Wow. All right. Let's just begin a little bit with our ankle circles, going one way, and then the other, and the other foot. Okay. So, Talbert talks about 6 principles. Let's just go ahead and warm our feet up like this while I talk. He talks about 6 basic principles of practice. And the first thing that he talks about is the dancer's aptitude. So you have to understand, what your body can do easily or what you may want to work on. But the idea is that you work with what you have. Let's do a few shoulder circles. So you're not out there to make yourself into something else as much as understanding what your aptitude is. The next principle that he talks about is the way steps are made. And by that he means, how do you make a step? How do you do something? Because the thing about the minuet is that there is a sense of improvisation in it. So right now we're just taking our steps forward, and we can just take them backwards, and of course we can take them inside, and we can make a circle and take a step. Right, so if you're taking your demi-coupe in the minuet, you could take it forward, backwards. You could take a circle before you take the step. You could take it side to side. And then he talks about the way steps are connected. So this is really interesting. I think it's connected with the cadence in the minuet. So there's a kind of a flow to this dance. One of the minuets we're going to be looking at is the Virginia minuet. And just to warm up, I'd like you to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you're going to take the plie in 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So be sure you're down on 4. And let's just do a few of these with our minuet music. Okay, I have to just go here. Okay, very good. Now let's just start walking downbeat. Okay, before. One. So that you're propelling your body as you're taking a step. 1, 5. Backwards 1. Very soft. And bounce. And bounce. Stop the 1. And 1. 1. Let's take a good look. Okay, so I'm sure you've all done minuets before, but I think that idea of propelling yourself into the space is important. That sense of containing the space here and back. Okay, I just want to be sure that I'm not assuming anything. Is there anyone here who has not done a minuet before? If you have not, could you just, I'm having trouble seeing everyone. Can you just say, it's new to me? Unmute yourself. Okay, good. All right. So, what's interesting to me about the minuet and why was it always taught? It's because it had a special place in society, and it has a lot to do with proportion. So I just want to read you this one quote. It's from an architect from the middle of the 18th century, and his name is Zedler, and this is what he says. Intrinsic decoration consists of symmetry and eurythmy. Symmetry requires that all the parts of a building, both between itself and against the building as a whole, are well proportioned in length, breadth, and height. Eurythmy, however, demands that each part of the house is positioned in the correct direction and positioned in its proper place. Without question, the best and most pleasing proportions are those that can be expressed in single and small numbers, because they can be easily and accurately recognized and distinguished at a glance. This pleases our emotions most and does not require too much or too astute, sharp reflection. Therefore, note the following proportions: 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and 5 to 6. We meet the same proportion in every part of our own bodies and in all its joints when they are measured against each other or against the whole body. So when they're talking about measuring the space with the figures, they're talking about proportion, and the sense of proportion is very key to 18th century theory. So let's go ahead with Taubert, and he talks about the figures of the dance, and he talks about the principal figures of the dance. So the principal figures of the minuet are the S, the Z pattern, and the number 2. Okay, so let's just look at the S figure for a moment. I'm just going to come back here. I know you've done the S figure before. So it goes around, and then the diagonal, and around, and here. Now he says that today they're using S figure, but before they used to use the figure 8. So the figure 8 is the infinity sign. That's the whole, and it refers to infinity. So half of that is the figure S. And when you think that you are doing an S pattern and your partner is doing an S pattern, it means that you're making reference to that sense of infinity. When he talks about the S, he talks about in the curve of the S in the beginning to use 2 side lefts and then to do the other minuets in a forward direction. So looking at our first S, then we're going to be taking a side left, 1, 4, 5, 6. But instead of taking it straight across, can you circle that a little bit? So each figure that we're going to do today is going to be 4 measures, mostly because we're all in intimate spaces. Okay, so our first measure, 1, 4, 5, a little hop if you like. And then another one, as you're coming down that part of the S. And then let's just go ahead and take a typical Tomlinson timing, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the kind of old minuet step, which is pas de bourrée, demi-coupé, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So eventually we're going to put this together. So let's just do that one more time. We're going to have the presentational figure, then we'll have 2 S's. So the second S, again, the left, and also side, as you're going to center, forward, and then in English. Okay. We were talking a little bit before about cadence, so you see how these rhythmic choices are supported by the music, which is extremely important. Another principal figure he has is the Z figure. So in the Z figure, we'll take it this way. We're going to take a side left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, And then directly on the diagonal, just walk, walk. And then the same ending that we did before, Tomlinson, 4, 5, 6, and the pas de bourrée, demi-coupe. So again, it's side left, walk, walk, and then Tomlinson minuet, and what we call the English. Okay, the third figure that is a principal figure is the number 2. So the number 2 is like a combination of the S figure and the Z figure. The 2 has a curve at the top, and then it gets direct with the diagonal line and the other line. So in making this the number 2 figure, we'll kind of start out, I hope this is not confusing, but we'll start out like the S figure, doing our curve with our French left, and then straight on with the minuet step here, and really making a corner as you go pas de bourrée, demi-coupe. So actually the challenge in doing the number 2 is that you make sure that you have that curved part and then you have that more square part. As opposed to the S, which is curved with the side lefts, then you go forward in the line of direction, but when you go forward in the line of direction, you still have to do the curve at the bottom of the figure. So these principal figures that are mentioned, but apparently the number 2 was actually popular as we went in, well, at least in Eastern Europe, as we go into the late 18th century. Okay, now the other figures he calls, there's the presentational figure. So in our lesson today, we'll go ahead and after the vowels take a presentational figure, but it's only going to be 4 measures. And I think we should probably do the rhythm that was preferred. Who preferred it? Yes. This one was preferred by Taubert, but also it seems the French preferred it as well. And it basically goes this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So there's a little leap at the end. So it's up 1, only to come down 2, and then 2 steps, 3, 4, and then from there, plie on 5, a little jeté on 6. Now that little jeté on 6 is going to connect you to the next step. So it kind of gives an energy, it's like a more powerful upbeat to the next step. So let's just do a couple of those. And we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1. So when you don't take a 6 that goes down into the ground, it's heavy, but it should be a little bit like anticipation. So if I was just doing the 6 and the 1, it would be something like 6, 1. Just try that leap and go into the demi-coupe right away. Leap, demi. And again, leap, demi. So you're not thinking of ending, but you're thinking of almost like beginning the power of the next step. One more time. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 3, 4, 6, 1, 3, 4, 6, 1. So when you hit the 1, glorifying that, maybe hold it a little bit before you take the heel down. Step 3, 4. Okay. So we have our principal figures, and then Tomlinson. That's right. We were on the first figure. Maybe I'll go this way. So the first figure is going to be the preferred minuet step towards the audience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and then a balance. 1, 4, and then from there, here I'm on the woman's side, so I would just take a regular minuet step this way, and then let's go ahead and take the English 1, 2, 3, 4. So by then I get to this part of the room. The gentleman, of course, would have been here, balance, balance, and he guides the woman around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then goes to his place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think we could probably put this into its structure. So Tomlinson talks about the cadence. Here we're talking about the cadence. We're treating the cadence each time with that English minuet step, which is pas de bourrée demi-coupé, because it fits nicely to the music. Also, when the minuet, of course we're counting in 6, but it has a way, the melody has a way of moving towards the cadence. So as we're taking our dance with our partner, we should not forget that. So what does that mean? Let's say that we are doing the Z figure, and I'm standing here. So I'm thinking immediately from the beginning that I know what my figure is with her, so I'm anticipating not resting really until the 4th measure. So I'm thinking of making like if you're drawing, let's say you're drawing a circle. You don't go here, 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 and here, but you go here. So with your body, you're going here, and now I've arrived. And then you're ready for the next. So if you have this idea in your head while you're dancing, it actually sort of facilitates the flow, and you're a little more connected to the music because you're really thinking about the melody, the breath, and how that is danced through your body. So it's not that you're on top of the music, but it's more like the music is more inside you. All right. So maybe it's going to be easier if I face this direction and we just walk through the figures of the minuet. We actually didn't even get to the collateral figures, as they're called by Taubert. But why does he divide the minuet this way? The reason he divides it this way, the principal figures are what you principally dance. So you could do as many Z's or S's or 2's as you like. That's like the dance. That is the dance. And then there are the collateral figures, and they only happen once. So the presentational figure, obviously, once. The offering of the right hand, once. The offering of the left hand, once. The offering of both hands, once. Now, the other thing he talks about are making choices in the steps. But I think, well, maybe let's get the figure first, and then let's talk about ornamentation or how you make choices. And the reason you're making the choices is that your dance is a conversation with your partner, especially somebody that you've never danced with before. They kind of wonder, what your moves are. So you would be showing them in the minuet. You would also be showing that in the contradance, which we'll find out when we're at the ball. All right, so I think just to be simple, I'm going to take the man's side, and I'm going to use that wall as the presence. So that way you don't have to flip around how you're thinking about the space. I hope my voice carries when I'm facing the other direction. But I think we have 2 measures of introduction, and then we'll just take our bow to the presence and our bow to our partner in 4 measures. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 2, 3, 4. And you could go ahead and take her hand. Then we'll have our special preferred minuet downstage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. with balance, balance. I'm going to let my partner take her place. And I'm going to do a Tomlinson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the English, 1, 2, 3, 4. And sometimes because I'm using the English as a cadence, instead of taking a demi-coupe at the end, I might just take a flat step because it has just a cleaner feeling with the music. All right, so I think we have that. We bow, we take the preferred minuet step forward, we balance, we take the Tomlinson step, and then the English to end in our corners. So I've ended here. And now let's take, since we all know the Z pretty much, let's take the Z figure. It will be in 4 measures. And first we go across. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then just 2 walks, 1, 4. And I like doing 2 walks at this point because you can line up with your partner. You're going to pass right shoulders, and there's kind of a feeling of hello. It's like now this dance is ours. The first figure was presentational. We saw our community, but now we get into the intimacy of the minuet. Okay, so you took the 2 walks, and then go ahead with the Tomlinson timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. English timing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's just do that same thing. Whoops. Let's do that same thing again to get back home. And we go French, walk, walk. Tomlinson, pas de bourrée, step. Okay. Now, so that was a principal figure. Now let's get to a collateral figure. And we're just going to offer our right hand, or we're going to accept the right hand with Our Lady. So we're going to take, in that case, we're going to take a kind of a sort of a snail spiral in to get our partner's hand. So don't go directly to the partner, but the right shoulder is in, and you're going to take just a Tomlinson, 4, 5, 6, Tomlinson, 4, 5, 6, Tomlinson, 4, 5, 6, and just walk, walk. Okay, so it's just really like 3 Tomlinsons and 2 walks. The thing to remember is that whenever we're talking about you don't want to be confrontational with your partner, so here there should be just a slight lean in the shoulders as you lean 4, 5, 6. Now, try to make it a little bit more of a larger curve that goes into a spiral. Otherwise, it's going to look too square. I forgot to say that the spiritual world is represented by the circle. Material world is represented by the square. The beautiful thing about the minuet is that the figures go between being square and circular. So you're really trying to join all of what man is with the spiritual and material worlds. So here we're going to curve a little bit. 4, 5, 6. Perhaps get hands. 4, 5, 6. Here. 4, 5, 6. Walk and walk. But then let's do an S pattern. So you've got a curve at the top, and curving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to go straight forward, but still keep the curve. Tomlinson, 4, 5, 6, curve, and step. And again, curving, 4, 5, 6, curving, 4, 5, 6, Tomlinson, curve, curve, and you're there. Great. So that was another principal figure. Now, let's go to a collateral figure. We did our right arm before. Let's do our left arm. But let's go ahead and take the same. Should we take the same steps? Okay. There is a minuet step that is described, and it's probably the minuet step that one might do when one is tired. But nevertheless, it belonged to the time period. So let's see what this looks like. It's basically taking 4 high steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And walk away, walk away. Yeah, so it's the first one I think that Tomlinson describes. And again, it's simply demi-coupe, walk, walk, go to the flat. And demi-coupe, walk, 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 go to the flat. Yeah. Okay, so that was for the left hand, kind of appropriate for the left hand. Okay, so we've done our bows, our presentational figure. We then did the Z pattern, which was the French left, 2 walks, Tomlinson English, and repeated that. We then did the right hand, which was Tomlinson steps, and then 2 walks back. And then we did the S figure, which is the 2 side left, and then going forward on the Tomlinson and ending with the English, which is the pas de bourrée demi-coupe. And we did that twice. And then we offered the left hand doing the, what I would say, tired step maybe, which is just the 4 walks. And we end up, if you're a gentleman, you end up here. Now, a lot of times I'm asked, like, where do you end up at the end of the figure, like when you're doing right hand or left hand? It varies. If you're doing a choreographed minuet, it's very clear. If you're doing something that is more like an improvised minuet, you could end in either corner. You could do, some people like in, for instance, Pierre Rameau's book, I mean, he'll do the right hand figure, and then he'll just sort of like turn around and do the left hand figure right away. It's not really ending in a corner. That also happened. But in our case, we're playing a little bit more with the principal figures and the sense of the collateral figures. Okay, so the only principal figure we haven't done yet is the number 2. So if we're starting here, we're going to take a French left curving and continuing, and then get straight here and do a quick corner with the 1, 2, 3, 1. So we repeat that, the curve, straight, and then nice corner there to end so. Okay. Then the only other collateral figure is both hands. So, let's see. Hang on for a minute, I just want to think about this. Okay, so Tomlinson and other people talk about substituting regular steps in for the minuet step. So I think the step pattern we could take would be a temps de courant, and then a double bourrée, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then maybe an ornamented temps de courant, so you could do beats on it if you like. You could also do like a little rond de jambe. You could do that. You could also take maybe a turn on it before you take your overcurve. You could add a jump to it. Yes, you could do many things because it's the last figure. Okay, so let's not laugh too much. We've done both hands, temps de courant, pas de bourrée, temps de courant, step, and step. And then go ahead and bow to your partner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the presence. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then you would take your partner off the floor. Okay, so the point of this then is the theory of the minuet should help you remember the practice, because the theory has a logic behind it. So, so we're doing the minuet. It is supposed to be showing the perfection of dance and proportion and ethics in terms of how you relate to your partner. So the bows, of course, are number one, honoring the presence and then honoring your partner. Ya da dee da 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 dee da bum ba, and to your partner, and bow, and close, and take your hand. Then the next thing is honoring the community that you're in. So you're not going to look at your partner as much as everybody around you. As you take the preferred minuet step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, balance and balance. Go ahead and look at everybody in the room. Just 2 more measures. So take your partner around, and then you go to your place. You're here. And then we're going to do the Z pattern, which is the French left, and the walk, and the walk, and the ending that we have that goes with the cadence, the Tomlinson, and then the English. And again, you didn't get it the first time, you can get it to the second time. Walk, the Tomlinson, and then the cadence. Then the offering of the right hand, regular minuet step, which means the Tomlinson, 4, and you're leaning towards your partner, and then you're taking your leave. Darling, that was wonderful. So don't just step back, have that sense of generosity. Yes, let's continue. And then you're going to take the S, which has the 2 French lefts and the Tomlinson, and this is the cadence. Make sure that you round it. 4, 5, 6. You get a chance to do it again. Curving and curve. Straight, curve and step. Left hand, and we're going to do this entire minuet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Let's just go ahead and make those 2 steps away. I think that'll be easier. Then we take the number 2, which is like the S. You curve around, and you curve again, and now you go straight. 4, 5, corners straight. 4, 5, 6, curve. Ooh. That wasn't a good curve for me, sorry. And straight. Ya, da, turn. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now both hands. So we breathe, we do some variations, which are the temps de cran, 2 double bourrées, well, 2 bourrées, and another temps de cran, bourrée, and you're here, and then you're ready for the bows. Remember, it's to your partner. And then to the presence. And then you offer your hand to your partner and you take her away for a refreshment. Right. Okay. I think we could try this with music. Let me be sure that I'm still sharing. Oh yes, it does look good. And you have 2 measures to begin. Especially if I hit play. A little talking first. Okay. Very good. All right. I confess I wasn't quite able to see the screen, but before we do it one more time, are there any questions? And if so, just unmute yourself. Okay, I think at this speed, it's a little difficult to think and be there exactly at the right time. So I think we should do it again. And I think if we can just maybe review for a moment, it's presentation, and then Z, Z, right hand. Then we have the S. After that is the left hand. And then the next one would be the 2, and then both hands. Now, if you're just coming to the minuet, coming to the ball, and you don't know who you're dancing with, you might want to just talk to your partner and decide on, a kind of step to do. So it depends on how sophisticated the partner is. We were talking a little bit about it being like a conversation. So a conversation would be like, I might do one rhythm, you're doing the other rhythm, then you start following me, and then maybe I take your rhythm. Or it may be that I'm doing one Z, but I feel like this is not a very interesting dance or music, so I want to just get it over with, so I'll go right to the right hand. And then maybe I'll go right to the left hand, and then I'll go to a number 2, and then suddenly do both hands. But that kind of thing you would feel from your partner, because it depends on how they're moving their shoulders and how they're looking, and especially it's interesting that some dance manuals say it's the man who indicates which arm to take. So probably it would be like when he takes his hat off, it's obvious that he's going to be doing his right arm, offering the right hand this way. But sometimes they say that it's the woman who actually begins to lift her arm, which, if it's the right arm, then it means she's ready for the right hand figure. So I imagine that in the United States or in America that it wasn't as set as we might think it was. We have a lot of different cultures here. We do have the Dutch, we have the Germans, we have the French, we have the English, some Spanish. So it must have been a really interesting thing attending these balls, because it would be a really great mixture of people. And you might ask, well, weren't there upper classes, lower classes, and middle classes? Well, when you're celebrating something like a battle that's been won, then you have a public ball, and everybody who wants to dance is invited. Which is very different from having a private ball when it's like Mrs. Simpson, who's inviting just the general, just the officers. Could be like an officer's ball. So when you're reading about it or you're thinking about it, you might just think about which kind of ball is it. But before I talk too long, I think we should probably just do it again. So let's take our places. I'll try to keep my balance a little better. Remember to breathe. Oh, here we go. I confess I got carried away watching my partner, and I wanted to go to the two hands too soon. And you know what? If that happens in the ball, it's okay, because according to most dancing masters, when you're dancing socially, there is no such thing as a mistake. Right. So, hey, you're going into the two hands, go. Maybe do the bow and then just walk off the floor with the end of the music. And I think that also shows, in terms of the personal etiquette, that you don't correct someone in public. Whether they're talking or you don't directly say, no, that's wrong. You might say, well, in my experience, ... Because it allows for a certain grace between the two people. So the same thing with the minuet and dancing it, not correcting your partner allows for this kind of grace, which is very important to remember in life. So I think everybody could use some dance lessons. Okay, at this point we're at 6, but are there any questions or observations that I might answer or we'd like to hear?
I love the flow of this style of minuet. I've never seen this before, so I only know the French, Baroque. So this, I really love the flow of it, and really lovely.
It's such an interesting tune. It's so American in a way. I think it's more like a ballad, which is maybe what Americans relate to a little bit more, like the songs and the ballads of the 18th century. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Kaide, I'm glad you made it. I don't know whether I clicked you in or not, but I'm glad you're here. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for attending. You know when the ball is. That's great. Just keep up with us in terms of other classes. We'd love to see you. And thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.